Hey, welcome back today. These are the questions from last night's homework, just kind of reviewing the answers to those. Sub, if you could give them a minute to kind of look over their answers and check their work and see if they're right so they can develop questions for me when we get back, that'd be great. Thank you. Just give them a couple minutes. All right, so today we're going to be talking about the rate of change and slope. One of the things you should have noticed as we have sketched some of these lines is that they're going to have some sort of an angle to them, and that angle, in essence, is called a slope. Now, what slope represents, it's called the rate of change, okay? The rate of change, and that's a ratio. All ratio is a fancy word for fraction that compares the change in y to the change in x. Now, change in y and change in x means that there's going to be a difference. And so that ratio or that fraction is the change in y is over the change in x, and that's what we call our rate of change. So we also happen to call this slope. Sab, if you could give them a minute to go ahead and finish writing all this down, that'd be great. Okay, thank you. So as we move on, what we're going to see here is that the slope of a line is the ratio of rise to run for any 2 points on the line. Now, all rises is the change in y, and run is the change in x. Now, what we're looking at, though, is we're looking at the change from 2 points on the line. So, if I look at this point right here, and I'm taking a look at the slope, okay, I want to record the rise. Now, of course, rise will always be across the y-axis, and run will always be across the x-axis. So it's always important to remember that rise and run always deal with specific axes. So if I'm looking at my bottom point here, I can see that the rise is 1, and well, it's kind of actually 1, 2, 3. So my rise is 3, and my run is 1 across. So my slope would actually be 3 in this particular case. Now what that means is that if I go up 1, 2, 3, and over 1, that means that I should get to my next point on the line, which of course this point would be at 4 and 7. All right, so that's kind of what we're doing here. We're looking at how the slope of the line affects different points on the line. Seb, if you could give them a minute to go ahead and copy all this down, that would be great. Okay, thank you. So now we are going to take a look at this rate of change and this slope on this particular graph. Okay, so again, the rise is what we're going to look at first. So right here, I can see that going from the left to the right, we always want to start from left to right. I can see that I actually have not a rise, but an actual fall. So the way we would represent a fall on the graph is with a negative integer. So what we see here is that we actually fall. This is actually 3. We fall from 3 to 2 to 1 to 0. So we have a fall of -3 there. And then it has a run going from 2 all the way to 1 of 3. So my actual slope there would be -1. Okay, so I can actually take a look at slope just by looking at 2 points on the line. And I always want to start with the furthest left point and then count the slope from there. So from the left point, I'm going to take a look at whether it's either a fall or a rise, and it always is going to run to the right if we are looking from left to right. All right, so here's an example, and we're just going to try to find the slope of this. Now remember that the slope is rise over run, or fall over run, depending on whether it's negative or not. All right, and so we start from the left, start here at the left, and we're going to see that going from 10 to 25, so there's 5, 10, 15. So we're going to see that that rises by 15. Now we're going to count the run. So how far does it run from here to here? Well, these are by kind of fives also. So that's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and then this ends at 77. So that's actually a run of 22. So my slope here is actually 15 over 22, which means it's kind of a flat slope. Sub, if you could give them a couple of minutes to go ahead and copy this down, that would be great. So what I need you to do is that if you've got 2 or 3 minutes here, I'd like you to write a summary of what you've learned about slope. And then kind of take a look at this key point. If you have a graph of a line, how do you find the slope? So again, remember, we're looking at, for this left point, and we're going to either count the rise or the fall for this left point, and then we're going to count the run to the right of whatever the second point on the line is. So if you could, Sub, if you could let them copy down the questions here. And what I would like you to do, of course, on these is find the slope of each line. Sub, if you could leave this up for just a minute, that will be it. And then let them start on their assignment. Thank you.